If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, I'm Lindsay. I make fly fishing and fly tying videos to encourage you to give fly fishing a go. On this channel you will find videos that cover fly tying for beginners to experienced tyers. The fishing videos cover disciplines from river, bank and boat. If this sounds like your bag, you're in the right place. I hope you enjoy today's video. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome back to the Albury Estate, and today I'm on Weston Lakes. Now if you've followed the channel you'll know that I've done videos on Vale End and Powder Mills, and I had excellent sport there. Now today here at Weston, this is my favourite lake, and I'm hoping to just wander around, try a few different tactics. I've set up with 2 rods today because the days are short. I don't want to waste time switching between techniques. So I've got a bung rod, and I've set that up on a 4-weight actually, because what I want to do and what I've missed the last couple of times I've been out is being able to scale my tippet down safely so that I don't get snapped up on some of these hard fighting fish here at Albury. So I'm down to a 4-weight. I'm fishing 3 to 4 pound tippet. If I do get one on the bung, it'll certainly be a fight to remember. The other rod I've got is my trusty Jensen Nymphus. It's a 9-foot rod for a 7-weight, and coupled with that, at the moment I've got a midge tip on. I've also brought a floating line and a slow intermediate and something a little bit special that I'll show you later on that I want to give a go. It might work, it might not work, but we'll see how we go. They have an absolutely superb fishing lodge up at the top there, and they serve tea and coffee daily, and already today it's getting really busy with people coming along, having a cup of coffee and a cake, and dare say I'll be joining them later on for lunch. Albury do more than most as regards to fly fishing, so they've got quite a lot of water to go at. Now it's really difficult to get people out fishing at this time of year. We're near the back end of November, December beckons along with Christmas and all that comes with that. People are more cooried up on the couch with their sweeties and their dram, watching Lord of the Rings for the 1600th time. Oh, that might just be me, by the way. But it is difficult to get people out the house and get them onto the lake. So Albury have a unique kind of way of doing that. So you come along to Albury and you buy a day membership, and it's £17.50 I believe for the day membership, and then you buy however many fish tokens you like. You can get 4 fish tokens, and what that allows you to do is catch and kill 4 fish to take away. Albury is a catch and kill fishery, and people can take them away, smoke them, cook them, have them for Christmas, whatever the case may be. But whatever the case is, you've bought your fish, and if you only catch 1 or 2 fish on your visit, and days, you know, it's not easy fishing at this time of year, so you might only get 1 or 2, you might not get any. But the thing is, you've bought them 4 fish, so you can return another day, buy another day membership, which is £17, and fish away until you use up your 4 fish tokens. So basically, you're paying for the fish you catch and not much else. And that's how the fishery runs over 3 lakes. I think it's an absolutely great way of doing your business. It relies a lot on trusting the anglers that they're not going to lie about what they've caught, but I've never met an angler that told lies. So I'm going to get on with the fishing. It's a beautiful day here, considering we are in the back end of November. It's been very mild still, and we had a cold snap last week, but we're back to a fairly nice day today. So we'll get started and see if we can't get some fish in the net. I'm not going to go into detail about the bung because there's 100 videos about fishing the bung. It's basically using a buoyant fly to suspend a nymph, a buzzer. I've heard people suspending damsels below the bung, but you can vary the depth and you can fish absolutely static. I like the method on its day, it's very effective, but there is another way of fishing at depth, and the way I'm doing it today is I've got a fast sinking line on. This is a DI5, which means it sinks at 5 inches per second. So it's going to find the bottom of this small lake quite quickly. Now, I've only got between 2 and 3 feet of tippet to my fly, and what I've got on is a booby snake. Now, this one's yellow, and the reason it's yellow is the black ones are tied for coming today. Yesterday I can't seem to find them, so I've just had to sort of rummage round in the box, so to speak. I don't know where they've gone. They're probably up by the car, blown onto the side of the grass verge. I hope nobody finds them. They'll be wondering what the hell they are. But basically, I'll cast this out. I'm going to give it 30 to 40 seconds to find depth, and then I'm going to just very slowly retrieve it. Now, it's a method that's not allowed at all fisheries, and the reason for that is it can be really effective on its day. That's not just the only reason. So what anglers do, they'll cast out their line, they'll put their rods down, they'll go away and have a cup of tea, and subsequently the fish get hooked really deeply, because they will take the flies very deep down, and then they'll put them back and then fish will die. It's as simple as that, and nobody wants to see that. If you're going to fish this technique, you must have the rod in your hand at all times. Don't be tempted to put it down, because that's ledgering, and if you want to do that, then go coarse fishing. But trout fishing, you've got to be on it. Just a slow figure of 8, and hopefully you'll connect with the fish. So I'm going to give it a go, see how we get on. I have got a couple of other small boobies that I might try. This one's a monstrosity now that I see it in the water. So I'll try something a little bit more subtle. I've not helped myself here. I've come to the bank where the wind's blowing on, so I'm going to have to cast into the wind a little bit, which is a little bit annoying, to be perfectly honest. I could have done with a tailwind here just to help me get my line out, but we'll do what we can. We'll do what we can. And I know I'm not getting enough distance there, but that is the first cast, and I've already got knots in this fast sinking line. I think this is what puts a lot of anglers off fishing with fast sinkers, actually. Whereas when you've got a floater, or even the slow intermediates, they're a bit fatter and they tend to be a lot easier to manage. Even when I'm using my net here, I'm going to get knots, kinks. So the fly's taking some time to get down. It's probably keeping the fly line up. The eyes on it are that big. I think I'm going to change it almost straight away, to be perfectly honest. It can be very effective on its day. So it's not, fishing the bung's not the only way to fish static. If you fish like this on a short leader, 2 to 3 feet, and you cast out and you keep a hold of it, and just every now and again a little tweak, what it will do is bring the fly down nearer to the bottom of the lake. A lot of the fish, although we had a cold snap last week, it has been quite mild, so we're seeing quite a lot of fish on the surface. But as it gets colder and colder, the fish will become less likely to want to rush after stuff. They'll just be cruising around in the depths, looking for something to survive on through the winter months. I think I will give the yellow pearl one more chuck, just to see. I think, have I got weed on my fly already? Nope, that's all good. So always check your flies when you're doing this, because if there is, although the weed growth is getting, that's a lot better. I've got some distance there, and that's what you want, because the lakes here at Albury, they're all very similar in their style, and they're long. They can be narrow. The smaller lakes, Vale End and Powder Mills, I can almost cast across them. But here at Weston, there's a lot more water, there's a lot more room, and I couldn't possibly cast them. And there's certain bits on this lake where even with a tailwind, I'm not being able to get my flies to. And I like that because it always makes me think the fish have got some refuge. Now, at the top of the lake here, it's spring fed, and currently there's not very much water coming in because we had such a dry summer. It is still not quite full. The lake's a little lower than it should be for this time of year. At this end, it's really deep. There's a deep hole here, and in the summer months, I remember doing a video here some time ago. If I can find it or remember to do it, I'll link it in the video description. But the way I was catching them was I was just up the bank a little, and I was fishing the bung, and I was fishing a weighted blob. And as long as I got the distance, every time I got out to the little hole, I would hook a fish. The only thing I had to do different was I had to scale down my tippet to 4 pound, and that produced a lot of fish. It was very effective on its day, and I had a great time when a lot of other anglers around the lake really did toil to get some action. So I'm just tweaking this back, and every now and again I'll just stop so I can chat to you good folks. I've really enjoyed doing the 3 lakes here at Albury. It's been great fun doing the videos, and you know, we've had mixed results. Some days it's been tough, other days it's been easy. When I was at Powder Mills the other day, I was telling Cam it was becoming quite embarrassing, the amount of fish that were coming to my line. It's certainly not proved easy today. I've had one fish from the smaller lake, and it's absolutely stacked with fish up there, I can tell you now. It's not for the want of fish. There's something else going on, I believe. They're just not on it. And Cam did tell me at the start this morning that this lake in particular has been really tough. But where there's a will, I'm going to have a change of fly and see if that'll change my luck. I think regular changes of fly is key when it's difficult. That's what got me my fish when I was on the other smaller lake. I kept changing flies, I kept changing depth, I kept changing the length of my leader just to vary it up, so that I'm really annoyed about not having them smaller flies. I wonder if I put them in my other box, but I don't think so. I'll have a look. It would be nice. I really wanted a black long fly to imitate a leech pattern, really, but it's not in that box. Oh, here we go. Here's a couple here. So this is the one I was primarily looking for. It's black, it's got a little bit of gold in it. It's not a snake fly, it's just tied on a long shank hook. I've got a little bit of a tail going on with the fly, and there's a little bit of gold in the head, but it does have booby eyes in there. 5mm, so it should keep the fly nice and buoyant. And we'll see if this different presentation can help. Now, while I'm doing this, it's a very you don't have to concentrate as hard as you would if you were fishing or nymphing on a floating line, because when they take this, it really does get taken hard. You'll know all about it when you get hit. And while I'm doing that, I want to float an idea at you. So, I'm coming to a crossroads in life, really, as I'm sure everybody does when you get a little bit older. And next year I'm 60, and I'm considering retiring. And when I say retiring from my full-time job, you know, the real life job. This is the dream job, and I'm thinking about actually retiring completely and leaning into the YouTube videos a little bit more. And one of the ideas I had to make more content was to do like a Stillwater fishery directory, if you like. So what I would do is I would travel round. Initially I would probably do it quite close to home, but eventually I would start travelling around the country, and as long as fisheries were up for it, I would make videos about the fisheries. You know, the rules, how much it costs, what they can expect to catch, the best tactics. And it would take some years, and I don't know how many I've got left, to be perfectly honest, but I think by the end of it I would have a body of work that would be a great reference for any sort of small stillwater angler. So let me know what you think in the comments. Is this just a pipe dream, or do you think it's a viable option? Be interested to know your thoughts. Oh, I thought I had a take there, but it was probably weed. Yeah, this fly's getting down much. The eyes are slightly smaller on this booby than was on the big yellow one that I've just taken off, and I can feel me pulling weed at the bottom here. It's always worth, when you feel that resistance, it's always worth line striking. So all I'm doing when I feel the resistance, rather than just assuming it's weed, I am pulling the line a good 6 to 8 inches, because if there is a fish on the end, I want to hook it up. And you can already see what I mean about the tangles. Even using the net as a line management tool, I'm still finding that my line's knotting up. Of course, it doesn't help when you're fishing boobies. It's well known that the fly spins in the water when you're retrieving. Not that I'm retrieving particularly fast, but it does curl your fly line, which can affect the core. It's easy when you're in a boat. When you're in a boat, at the end of the day, you cut your flies off, you put your fly line out the back of the boat, motor about for a couple of minutes, and the fly line's all smoothed out again. But stillwater fishing, it's a little bit different. This might well be my last day out to the stillwaters before Christmas. I might get one more day on the river if I'm very lucky, and the rain's kind. And then it'll be getting the tackle all cleaned up for the new year. And already I've got a trip to whoa. It's just the bottom, folks. Calm down, calm down. It wasn't a take, just felt like a take. In the new year, I've got the Farmore Bash, organised by Mark Miles. So last year I covered that event, and it looked like a lot of fun, even though it was Baltic. Very cold weather. There was still a few fish caught. I think, if memory serves, Richard Slater had an incredible haul of about 14 fish, where a lot of people were blanking, a lot of very good anglers, I might add, were blanking. Hopefully it will not be quite as cold as it was last year, or this year. We're still in this year, aren't we? So next year I hope it's a little bit warmer, and we have a good time. Certainly we'll have a good time because we're out fishing, aren't we? So it doesn't really matter what the weather does. There's a little bit of floating weed in front of my flies here that are causing me some annoyance. So I arrived bright and early at the fishery, and there's a few anglers already out fishing, and I did see one fish caught, but other than the one I've had, I think they're the only fish I've seen caught. Now the hot spot seems to be on the smaller of the two ponds that you see here. Well, I've worked my way all the way down the bank, the far bank, stopping in at various spots now. I always maintain that the secret to success, if you like, during these cold, hard days is either changing your flies, changing your method, or changing your location. So having a few casts in at each peg and being prepared to move always helps. Now, it's not helping today, I'm afraid. It's been really tough going. I've spoke to a few other anglers. Most of them have had ones. There's not very many people with more than one, I've got to be honest. I did speak to a chap, a fellow Scotsman, David, who managed to tempt one of the Spartaks up on a yellow owl. So even at this time of year, if you get the right conditions, fish will come and take off the top. So an emerging pattern like the yellow owl worked for him. He said it was a 10-minute window, the fish came up and he took advantage of that. And that's what you've got to do. Excuse the helicopter going by. So I'm still on the DI5 at the moment. I'm considering coming up in the water again and going back to a snake, or I might give the bung another go. On its day it can be absolutely fantastic. But I have tried it, not so much here, but further up the lake, and it's proved very good. Now, if I'm really honest, out of all the pegs, and there's a lot of water here at Weston, this is probably one of my favourites. It's quite a deep channel between here and the far bank, and invariably the fish swim round the lake, and in this narrow channel they're at a funnel point, so more often than not you will get an opportunity when you're here. Just as I approached a peg, I actually spooked a fish away from the edge. I mean, the water's absolutely crystal clear. I thought I had an offer there, but it was just weed. Now, I'm going to have one more chuck with this, and then I think it'll be time for another change of tactics. So I'm going to go back to maybe a weighted fly on a midge tip and just mix it up. Bit of roly-poly, bit of figure of eight, some stripping, and see if I can't just antagonise one of these fish to come and take. The cloud's starting to get over the sun now, and the heat's gone out of the day is what I'm feeling. When that sun disappears, it does get quite cool. The other thing I like about changing is I'll be a bit more physical and it'll keep me a bit warmer. Now sadly, I've not been able to show you this method working, which is a real shame, because when it does work, it's pretty phenomenal, I've got to say. So I'm going to pack up this. I'll go to my trusty bag and bring out something a wee bit different to change. Now currently on the bung rod, I've got set up a very, very small beaded hare's ear, and it looks like it should do a job for me, but when I was fishing it earlier, it didn't even attract fish, and I know I was overfished because I'd caught one and I'd had several bumps. I've tried an Apps worm. I had a couple of bumps to that. Sadly, I failed to hook the fish up. So I've just changed tactics there. I tried the DI5 and the booby coming from the bottom up, and that failed. So I've gone the other way and tried the bung, and it's worked out for me. Now I'm on very light tippet, so I'm going to take my time with this fish. I don't want to get snapped up, and of course the other thing is I only have one of these flies. And here she comes. Oh, spooked her with the net there, spooked her with the net. Too soon. Remember, my old pal Jock Kettle says that's one of the worst mistakes he sees, is anglers going for the net too soon. You go for the net too soon and you end up losing the fish. That's a lovely fish. Look at the condition of that. Absolutely stunning. That's a beauty. Well, after that little bit of success fishing the bung there, I've decided to stick with it. I've just left my other rod to the side for the moment. There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can fish a fly with a small bead. I've got a 2mm tungsten bead on a size 16 hook here, and it's a hare's ear type pattern, and that'll get my fly to the depth, which I've set at about 2.5 feet at the moment, very quickly. The other way of doing it is having a little bit longer leader from your bung to your fly, fish it unweighted, and that'll just sink slowly through the water column, and very often it can be very effective. Fish find what happens is when insects come off the bottom to strive to reach the surface to hatch, they sometimes fail and they fall back down, and if you're fishing an unweighted fly, that's what that represents. The failed nymph. It's tried to get to the surface, it's failed, it's fallen back down, and then often it'll have another spurt back up, but it can be super effective. So that's a couple of different ways that you can fish a single fly on the bung. Of course, the other thing you can do if you're not getting any action with fishing the bung static, you can put some movement into it, and you can do that again in a number of ways. Sometimes I put a long pull in that just brings my fly up in the water, and then it drops down again, which is what I was talking about earlier. The other way, of course, is just to slowly figure of 8, keep in touch with it. It's amazing how many times when you're really slowed everything down, even with the bung, you could say, oh well, straight lining works just the same, but it doesn't. I don't know why, it just doesn't. So still, the Spartic trout elude me. I would really like to get a hold of one, but I've just not had any joy with that so far. Just give my bung a little twitch there. I think what it is actually is there's a little bit of wind got onto the water, and it's just making the bung jiggle away there, which I mistook for a fish showing some interest in my fly. So this is actually a rod that I use on the river quite a bit. It's a tactical trout, it's a 4-weight rod, and this one's 9 foot. I find it really good for dry fly, especially on a bigger river. It just seems to work a treat. You get good turnover. So attached to my floating line, what I've got is a tapered leader. It's a 9-foot tapered leader to a micro ring, and then I attached around 2.5 feet of tippet, tied on my bung, and I've tied it eye to eye. Usually if I'm fishing on a reservoir, I would tie it to the bend of the hook, but I find on these still waters with trees and branches and everything behind you, it just makes a lot more sense to tie it eye to eye. I've got the depth set at about 2.5 feet at the moment, and that seems to be doing okay. The water is so clear that having it set high up in the water column, any fish that are swimming around about the bottom, they're going to see that because their tunnel of vision will be much bigger if they're at depth. Now currently I've got it in the middle of the lake at the moment, which I'm not a great fan of, I've got to say. I think these fish, they cruise up and down, and they're maybe 6 feet for either bank. Now this being a 5-weight, I've got the wind to my back, so I might be able to get a little bit more distance, but it's not really designed for hauling a bung across the lake. But as I said, I wanted to scale everything down from my bung to my fly. My tippet's only 4 pounds, and if I was using a 7-weight rod to do that, there's every chance when I struck that I would just snap off on the fish. That last fish would have been getting near 3 pounds, and if I wasn't on this lighter tackle, I don't think I'd have got it. I wouldn't have maybe got the offer for a start, because I'd have been on 8-pound tippet, and I might well have left the hook in the fish's mouth. So let's see what I can do with this. Yeah, not far enough. Now, as you've probably gathered, folks, I am not a tournament caster. I don't know what gave it away, but yeah, my casting's always been pretty poor, and I've had lessons from Peter Cockwell in the past, and some other very well-to-do casting instructors. But the trouble is, when you get into these bad habits, it's very difficult to change your ways. And I've been used to sitting in a boat for many years, sitting on the engine, trying to get above people's heads. So the guys all used to call me the straight arm of death, and I just can't get out of that habit. I have tried, but not with any success. So yeah, I'm not making videos about casting. So what happened there? The bung didn't go under. What happened was it started to move to the side. Now, it was moving to the side where the wind's not blowing, which would kind of indicate to me that there's a fish bothering the fly. So I've struck there, sadly, and this happens quite a bit. Yeah, if you get an indication on your strike and you don't connect with a fish, you end up pulling everything back at high speed, and sometimes it gets tangled up in the bushes in the front here, or it might well get tangled up in the trees behind me. But nonetheless, whatever happens, you could end up in a world of hurt. So we'll just stick it out there this time. I've been concentrating my efforts over this side, and I just want to give this end a go. Well, when I started with the bung, I thought, oh yeah, here we go. First cast, I had a lovely fish, about £3, managed to land it. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe they're starting to come on the feed. We've now got about a 100% cloud cover, and I thought maybe the change in the conditions is helping. But I've had several other casts now, and to no avail. It's just not happening for me. So I'm going to take this opportunity, and yes, you know what's coming, don't you? I'm going to ask you to take 1 minute just to go down and click that thumbs up button. If you're watching on the television, use your remote control to, in the circle with the OK in, up, up, along, along. Click OK. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? You've obviously watched more than one of my videos. I've got over 1,000 on YouTube now, and I'll just tell you a little bit about the whole thing, really, I suppose. So I used to write. I used to do a lot of writing, and I had a website with a blog, and I would update it regularly, and it was great fun. I loved writing about fishing and recanting the stories of the day's fishing. Now, I thought that video would be an even better way of doing it, and when I first started, I just thought, well, I can maybe share some bits and bobs. My fly tying, you know, I'm not a great fly tyer, but I can cobble together a fly that'll catch you fish, and you know, that's what a lot of people don't do fly tying for that reason. Some people just do it because they enjoy the relaxation of tying flies, and that's great. I tie flies to catch fish mostly, but in recent years I've started to tie flies because I simply enjoy it. It's just a great way of spending your time, especially in the winter when there's hardly any fishing. I can sit and relax and tie flies, so I thought it would be a great way. I've watched all Davey McPhail's videos. I still do. I love watching Davey. He's just like the top bloke for fly tying. I don't think there's anyone better, and I'm not sure what it is, whether it's his manner or his skill, which is indisputable. But there's other guys as well, Mac Flies, Barry Orr Clark, the feather mechanic. These guys were just tying amazing flies, and sadly I can't do what they do. It's just not me. But what I can do is tie flies that catch fish. And I just thought, well, there's maybe a space for me on YouTube, and if I work really hard at it... Oh, sorry, I've just got a wee bit of interest. Just moved my bung slightly. If I work really hard at it, maybe in 7 or 8 years I'll manage to get a silver play button. Now, for those that are initiated in the YouTube world, once you've got 100,000 subscribers, you get a silver play button. YouTube sends you, not real silver, it's kind of some cheap arse silver, you know what I mean. Well, if it's real silver, I'll be retiring, but I don't think it is. But I did think, oh, maybe I could do that. It'll take a few years, but I'll give it a go, and I'll see if I can get to 100,000 subscribers. Now, I've been doing YouTube for about, well, I don't know, I can't even recall, about 7 years. I think this is my 7th year, and I was unprepared for a kick-off for how long it would take me to learn how to do YouTube. And it's not a thing that you learn overnight. You know, guys, I think a lot of guys, and more credit to them, you know, I'm all for helping people. Anyone asks, I'm more than happy to tell them how I make my videos, and I would encourage people to get out there and do it. If you've got the facility and the mind to do it, get out there and do it, because I love going on YouTube and watching fishing. The trouble is, of course, is people expect instant success with this game, and that it's a mistake. You know, 7 years and I've reached the dizzying heights of 25,000 subscribers now, which is a lot, and I'm very grateful if you've subscribed to the channel. Thanks very much, I really appreciate it. But as becoming a millionaire through YouTube, not in this niche. You're doing fly fishing because you love it, and that's the bottom line. You know, I love doing this. I love making the videos, and I love to impart what small knowledge I've got to try and help people catch some fish. So if you're going to do it, get ready for the long haul, is what I would say. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to create content, and a way that I always try and show my appreciation is simply to like people's videos. If I've watched a video and I think it's good, I'll give them a like. And many of the channels, I suppose because I do it myself, I subscribe to, because I think people that are out there trying to popularise fly fishing deserve my support. Now, talking about popularising fly fishing and trying to get more people into it, what Albury Estates do, which I think is very commendable, is they have the odd day here and there where a paying angler can bring a guest along to try and get them into fly fishing, which I think is fantastic. What a great way. So if I had a friend, dry my eyes, if I had a friend, I could have brought him along today for absolutely free. As long as you're paying yourself, you bring along a guest, you introduce them to fly fishing, and they get the bug and hopefully go out. They buy tackle, which helps the tackle companies out, and then they go fishing, which helps the fisheries out. So it's a really good thing. The other thing Albury do is they have guest speakers along. I believe recently they've had Peter Cockwell. If you fly fish, you'll definitely know the name. Peter used to be based here at Albury, and 25, 30 years ago I remember spending a lot of time in his shop when I first moved to the south of England, because he was just on the banks of this fishery, just further down, and he had a fantastic shop, lots of fly tying stuff. That's sadly gone now. He came and gave a Stillwater presentation on the banks of Albury a few weeks back. The other thing they do is over the winter months they've started to do tours of the fish farm, which I think if I get the chance I'll ask Cam if I can do a video about the fish farm, because I think it would be really interesting to see how they rear the fish and what their stocking policy is. I know the stocking policy is fantastic because you can see all the fish in the water, so it's a well-stocked lake, and I just find all that fascinating. You know, what's the mechanics behind the fishery? You know, I think all too often we turn up at these places and just expect to catch fish. Well, that's what you're paying for, isn't it? But there's a lot of hard work goes into making this happen. Could really do with another fish to warm me up, mind. Well, I've just fan casted round this area in front of me. I'm going to give it one more circuit with the fan casting, and then I think I'm going to get on Shanks's pony and head further up the the lake. So I've parked up by the cafe today. Usually I would park in the car park down the bottom here, but I just thought it would be easier and show you a different perspective, because I have done several videos here at Weston Lakes before. Just show you a different version of the lake really. It's such a big, beautiful lake. There's lots to see, and even if you're not catching fish, it's just a great place to be. It's so peaceful and quiet. I love it, absolutely love it here. I can see my fly working, it's working so well. The gold is just glinting in the light, what light there is. It looks absolutely amazing. I don't know what self-respecting trout wouldn't take this fly. They're missing out, that's all I'm saying, they're missing out. Okay, no avail there, no follows, no takes, nothing to keep my interest. So I'm going to head up the lake. Perseverance with the bung paid off. I changed through flies several times before I could get them to take what was in the end a size 18 beaded egg. It was tiny, I could barely see it in the water, hence I needed the indicator. And it was just when I was reeling in, I thought, I've had enough of this. I'd changed through different colours, different depths, and just couldn't get any joy. So I was just starting to reel in, and a fish took it as I moved the fly. And as I said earlier, sometimes when you give it a long pull or you move the fly, that's when the fish come and will commit to take the fly. So it's near the end of the day, lights just starting to come back into the sky actually, so I might get another half hour if I'm lucky. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to stick the humongous through these fish, because there is a lot of fish, I can see them in front of me, and see if I can get any interest doing that. So I've just moved up a little bit. The fish that I was fishing for up at the last peg there, they seem to have moved out. They've either moved out or they've moved up. There's not much point in me flogging a dead horse, so to speak. Now, I had my success fishing the indicator, and it wasn't static at all. It was when it was moving, it's when the fish took it. So I immediately went to my pool and didn't immediately go. I did persevere with the bung for a bit, but it wasn't paying any dividends. So I moved across to my midge tip and a humongous fly, and immediately got a take, which I missed. I was quite annoyed about that, but you know, that's how it goes sometimes. The thing with the humongous, it's got quite a long tail, and you will get tail nips occasionally, and these fish now have seen a lot of flies, so it's just sometimes you've got to put up with that. And that was a terrible cast. We'll cut that for the video. That was more terrible than my usual casting, which is pretty bad at the best of times. But yeah, poor, very poor. I'm trying to cast between two trees here, but I didn't get any turnover there, that's better. So basically I've come up to this peg now, and the light is starting to really go now, and this might well be my last peg. But it's been an outstanding day here at Weston. I was chatting to a chap earlier, a fellow Scotsman, David, and I was saying I would happily come here and just eat sandwiches and watch other people fishing. It's just a stunning place to spend your time. It's just a shame that I'm the other side of Guildford. So coming here in the morning takes about 40 minutes. Sadly, going home takes about an hour and a half with the southeast traffic, but you know, you've got to pay your penance. You know, some of these people have been at work all day. I've been fishing, so I can't really complain, can I? I don't know how much fishing I've got left actually, but I'm going to take advantage, and I'm going to have it to myself. So I'll see you lot in the next video.